In this video, we'll be learning about 14 AWS AppSync strategies. I'm Chris, Cloud Architect and founder of SystemsArchitect.io and CodeGuides.io. AWS AppSync lets you build a single GraphQL API over many data sources, but a sloppy setup can leak data, run slow, and cost far more than it should. Configure it well, and it becomes a fast, secure, real-time API that stitches your backends together behind one clean schema. This guide covers 14 practical strategies for getting the most out of AWS AppSync, spanning security, schema design, performance, resolvers, and operations. 14 AWS AppSync strategies. 1. Implement fine-grained access control. 2. Design optimized GraphQL schema. 3. Use response caching strategically. 4. Implement batch operations. 5. Enable real-time subscriptions. 6. Implement resolver mapping templates. 7. Use direct Lambda resolvers. 8. Implement proper error handling. 9. Enable monitoring and logging. 10. Implement field-level performance optimization. 11. Design for multiple data sources. 12. Implement pipeline resolvers. 13. Configure appropriate capacity. 14. Implement API versioning strategy. 1. Implement fine-grained access control. AppSync gives you several ways to authorize requests, including API keys, IAM roles, Amazon Cognito user pools, and OpenID Connect. The real power is that you can combine them and apply authorization down to the individual field and operation. Use directives like the @AWS auth directive and group-based rules to say exactly who can read or write each part of the schema. Start from least privilege, granting only the access each client truly needs. 2. Design optimized GraphQL schema. Your schema is the contract between clients and your backend, so it pays to design it deliberately. Map types cleanly to your data sources and shape them around how clients actually query, not how your tables happen to be laid out. Why plan the schema up front? A well-structured schema reduces resolver complexity, improves performance, and makes the API easier to evolve over time. Keep backward compatibility in mind by adding fields rather than changing existing ones. 3. Use response caching strategically. Why cache responses at all? AppSync server-side caching stores resolver responses so frequently requested data is served without hitting your backend. You configure caching per API or per resolver and set a time to live based on how volatile the data is. Stable reference data can cache for minutes, while fast-changing data should use a short TTL or no caching at all. Stable caching with a clear invalidation strategy so clients never see stale data. I should mention, this presentation is a condensed version of the complete article on blog.systemsarchitect.io. View the full blog article with more details there. 4. Implement batch operations. When a query touches many items, issuing one backend call per item is slow and expensive. How do you cut those extra calls? AppSync supports batch operations, like batch get item with DynamoDB or a batch invoke against a Lambda resolver, to combine those into a single request. This slashes the number of round trips and is a natural fix for the classic N+1 problem, where a list field fires one query per element. Design your Lambda functions to accept and return arrays so they can process a whole batch in one invocation. 5. Enable real-time subscriptions. Subscriptions are one of AppSync's standout features, pushing live updates to clients over managed WebSocket connections. When a mutation runs, AppSync automatically notifies every subscribed client, so building live dashboards, chat, or collaborative apps takes very little custom code. Add subscription arguments so each client receives only the events that are relevant to it, rather than a flood of everything. Plan for scale by filtering server side and being deliberate about which mutations broadcast. 6. Implement resolver mapping templates. Mapping templates, written in VTL, translate a GraphQL request into a data source operation and shape the response that comes back. Well-designed templates let you validate input, transform data, and handle errors right at the resolver boundary. Keeping this logic in the template can be faster and cheaper than routing everything through a Lambda function. When the logic grows too complex to express cleanly, that is your signal to move to a direct Lambda resolver instead. 7. Use direct Lambda resolvers. Direct Lambda resolvers let you handle a field's logic in a real programming language instead of VTL. This is the right choice for complex business logic, calls to external services, or anything that would turn a mapping template into a tangle. AppSync passes the request straight to your function and uses its return value as the response, with no mapping template in between. Keep functions small and fast so they do not become a latency bottleneck on hot fields. 8. Implement proper error handling. Good error handling makes your API predictable for the clients that depend on it. How should you handle a failure? Define clear error types in the schema and return meaningful messages so consumers know what went wrong and how to respond. Be careful not to leak internal details or stack traces that could expose sensitive information to callers. Log the full detail on the server side while returning only a safe, useful summary to the client. 9. Enable monitoring and logging. You cannot improve what you cannot see, so wire AppSync into Amazon CloudWatch from day one. Turn on request and field level logging to capture how queries flow through your resolvers and where time is spent. Track key metrics like latency, error rates, and per resolver performance to spot problems early. Set alarms so you are paged the moment errors or latency cross a threshold, rather than hearing it from users. 10. Implement field-level performance optimization. Not every field is equal, and AppSync lets you optimize at the field level rather than treating the whole query as one block. Use directives like @AWS Cognito user pools to authorize individual fields, so expensive or sensitive resolvers only run for clients that are allowed to see them. Combine this with per-field caching so hot fields are served instantly while volatile ones stay fresh. The goal is to fetch exactly what each request needs and nothing more. 11. Design for multiple data sources. One of AppSync's biggest strengths is unifying many backends behind a single GraphQL API. A single query can pull from DynamoDB, Amazon Aurora, OpenSearch, and external HTTP APIs, all presented to the client through one consistent schema. Clients get one endpoint and one type system instead of juggling several services themselves. Design the schema around the client's view of the domain, not around the boundaries of your underlying systems. 12. Implement pipeline resolvers. Pipeline resolvers let you chain several functions together to fulfill a single field. Each function handles one step, like validating input, fetching related data, then assembling the final result, sharing a common context. This modular approach makes complex logic reusable, since the same function can serve many fields. Use pipelines when a field needs multiple lookups or a multi-stage transformation before it can return. 13. Configure appropriate capacity. AppSync scales for you, but you still need sane limits so it scales the way you want. Set request and concurrency limits that match your application's real traffic and make sure the data sources behind it can keep up. It also keeps costs predictable, since unbounded execution can quietly run up a large bill. Load test before big launches so you learn where the ceilings are before your users do. In this video 14, implement API versioning strategy. APIs evolve, and a versioning strategy lets you change yours without breaking the clients already using it. Favor additive schema evolution, adding new fields and types rather than altering or removing existing ones. When something must go, mark it with the @deprecated directive so consumers get a clear, unhurried path to migrate. Watch usage of deprecated fields before you remove them, so you retire nothing that is still in active use. Taken together, these 14 strategies turn AppSync from a convenient GraphQL layer into a secure, fast, and well-run API for your whole platform. Security comes from fine-grained and field-level authorization, performance from caching, batching, and the right resolver for each job, and longevity from a well-designed schema you can version without breaking clients. Start with the high-impact basics like access control, schema design, caching, and batching, since those protect and accelerate every query. Get these right and you will ship a GraphQL API that is fast, safe, and a pleasure for other developers to build on. Thanks for watching and good luck building. Thanks for checking this out. Hope you learned something. Find a lot more articles and guides on both systemsarchitect.io and codeguides.io.